Commercial 3 located on south side of Perkins Road, east of Kenilworth Parkway. Council District 12, Rocca. We have a motion to delete by Councilwoman Rocca. We have a second from the chair. Any opposition? It's been deleted. Number 2, Port Hudson Pride Road to Pride Port Hudson Road. Proposed street name change for Port Hudson Pride Road, located east of Old Scenic and west of Liberty Road / Pride Baywood Road. Council District 1, Knoll. Commission action was a motion to deny, carried 8-1. We've done extensive research on this. This particular street, we went back. The community states that almost 100 years ago, this was always Pride Port Hudson Road from Liberty to 19, and then Port Hudson Pride from 19 to Old Scenic. I tend to believe that. There's a lot of people that say that's very accurate. However, the earliest maps we could find were 1958, and it does say Port Hudson Pride. Then there was an item or an ordinance that had an error potentially in it, or it referenced actually Pride Port Hudson. So it may have been an error, it may not, but obviously there's some ambiguity. So we were looking at potentially making the change. And I've had discussion with a lot of constituents. There's some who would like it to remain as is, and some who would want to have it changed, which is where this came out of. I think there is an error somewhere. It was changed maybe didn't go through a correct procedure, and so I'm willing to look at correcting the error, but I want to make sure we do have everybody have a voice. I've had a couple of meetings on it, so Mr. Holcomb, if you could come up and just give us a kind of a look at what it would take to officially change it versus kind of correcting an error like we've been looking at doing it here.
The standard process would be for an applicant to submit a petition of signatures of property owner. This is quite a large stretch of street. Running from Old Scenic Highway out to Liberty Road is what was brought to us. But the standard approach would be to potentially defer this item, allow property owners or concerned citizens to collect signatures of those property owners along this stretch of the desired street name change, along the whole segment or a smaller portion thereof. Once they collect those signatures, the Unified Development Code states that if we can verify a majority of property owners, so that's 50% plus one of those signatures, we can formally process an application, take it back to the Planning Commission, and ultimately a month later to council. Because of the length of this street, collecting those signatures likely will take some time, and we would have to verify it. So once we got the petition, it would be roughly a 2 or 3 month process, and we'd be happy to attend another community meeting. I know you've met with some constituents out there. We've talked to several. There was quite a bit of discussion at the Planning Commission level when we had the public hearing there, so we'd be happy to continue to work with you on this item.
Okay, so you think a deferral of maybe 6 months would allow time to find out if there is an interest, if there is a petition, and how to move it forward? Certainly,
and we can work with you. Like I said, we can get you a draft petition to circulate amongst the community. We'll be happy to do that.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Do we have anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'm going to make a motion that we defer for 6 months. We have a second by Councilwoman Amorosa. Any opposition? Seeing none, motion is, the item is deferred. Number 3, case 3224, 13707 Coursey Boulevard, Suite B, to rezone property from heavy commercial C2 to commercial alcoholic beverage bar and lounge, CAB2, located on the north side of Coursey Boulevard, north of Hickory Ridge Boulevard, Council District 8, Amorosa. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Councilwoman Amorosa, motion to approve. Do we have a second? Second by the chair. Any opposition? Motion carries. Item number 4, case 3324, 3575 Victoria Drive, to rezone property from heavy commercial C2 to single family residential A2 to heavy commercial and single-family residential A2 to heavy commercial 1, HC1, located on the west side of Victoria Drive, south of Airline Highway, Council District 7, Darazan. Do we have anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Yes, ma'am. State your name for the record.
Hi, I'm Julie Reynolds.
All right.
So I hope that you have each had an opportunity to look through the packet that was, I don't know if it was emailed or in front of you this evening, but I do appreciate your time today. This plot of land was a mobile home park for over 20 years. There's three different companies that are involved in this project: the owner, the property manager, and then there's also a lease purchase that company is going to be the one rolling in potentially mobile homes. And so that's what we're hoping to do, is get this property back in operation. Basically what happened was, when the flood happened in 2016, the entire property was flooded. And so we cleaned off all the mobile homes that were there. Because of that, we've lost our zoning as a mobile home park. Since then, we have spent countless dollars fencing the area, cutting the area, hauling off debris that keeps getting dumped by other citizens in the area, running off homeless people in the area, phone calls from concerned citizens in the area because of what's going on the property, despite the fencing and the maintaining of the property. So what we would like to do is have this rezoned so that we can roll in some mobile homes. There will be 26 homes in the park. They will be available for 1 year minimum leases. They will be furnished. The park will have the mobile home park will have a park for children. It will have dumpsters. It will have a mailbox kiosk. We've already done this same type of thing in Prairieville, and it has been a huge success. It is very well done, very well maintained. And one of the citizens actually drove out to the park that we've done in Prairieville, and she wrote a letter. This is included. Jim Crafassi has given his support. He owns the commercial property across the street. Many of the neighbors have also signed a petition stating that they would like to have the mobile home park reinstituted rather than just the empty property. There's a huge need in that area for affordable housing. One quick ad produced 50 responses. DeLuca Properties has relationships with Volunteers of America, LHC, and the voucher programs. And so those will also be utilized to fill the park. I don't anticipate that it would take long at all to do that. This is going to make a huge impact on the value of the property as well. If it stays as it's zoned now, it'll be $120,000 in value. With the park there, it would be $2.8 million. Thank you.
Thank you. Right on time. Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Councilman Hurst.
Hey, so I normally stay out of other people's, you can stay at the mic, that's fine. Normally we call you up, but you can stay at the mic. I normally don't put my hand in other people's cookie jars, but this is right across from my district. I have one side of the airline where Salvation Army is,
Okay.
and then you'll be on the other side. So I'm very aware of what used to be there, and I just want to make sure that there are mechanisms in place to keep it at a certain standard.
Okay.
Because that whole property as a whole, from the motel to the Belmont, they used to be there, even the mobile home park that was there, it was not an asset in terms of aesthetics for the community, even though it may have been an asset in terms of affordable housing. And so even when people come into my district, I've turned down, you can talk to Ryan, I've turned down a number of developers that wanted to put up hundreds of houses because they were shoddy developers that used North Baton Rouge as a tool for cheap land to be able to make a lot of money off of it. And they put houses in my neighborhood that they wouldn't put in theirs.
I understand.
And so if it were my district, I would be very have a question mark of whether I would decide to move forward with it or not. I'd almost be glad that the zoning changed on it based on the condition it was in prior to, removing the mobile homes. It was, to me, it was somewhat of an eyesore to our community. So I'm going to yield to the councilwoman, and to the aide who's been there, who may be our next councilwoman, to determine what they want to do. But I hope that some standards are put in place to make sure that it's an addition and a piece of joy that we add to the community, not something that we just dump in North Baton Rouge because it's cheap land and people don't complain. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Dunn Jr.
Thank you. Let me first say I'm in support of changing the zoning. I definitely wouldn't want you or any investor to lose some $2 million because of a zoning issue. I'd also, Ryan, after I finish with asking her a few questions, I'm making a few statements, would just want to discuss, because we've had other businesses in the past that have lost zoning or licensing because of COVID and things of that nature. And I just think some safeguards should be put in place when we have, things that are out of your control that shut down government and slow everything down. So we're not here dealing with something like this, trying to get it rezoned to what it already was. So I'd like to hear from you on that next, Ryan. But I want to echo some of Councilman Hurt's comments. This is not my district, but you can drive up and down Airline and you can see the debris. You can see the people, you can see the conditions. This property had declined quite badly. And I would hope that there are some commitments to maintain a certain level, a certain standard in that area so it don't return back to what it was prior to the flood or COVID or what have you, because it got pretty bad. And it's not just your site over there. As he mentioned, there's some issues with the old Great Hall and the Belmont and things of that nature, but it had become a very bad eyesore. So I'm supportive of you putting it back into commerce. I'm supportive of the zoning change, but I would ask that you guys make sure that it's something that's desirable and it don't return to what it was prior to it being shut down. So can you kind of talk about, what it was before, what the investment is now? What are you going to do to make sure that it's not a loitering destination and an eyesore?
Right. So I wasn't involved with it as a mobile home park before the flood. My husband was. He was one of the owners. I came in to play once the flood occurred. And so once that happened, there was a brick and mortar home at the front of the neighborhood, or the front of the property rather, and that became a stash house. And Hillermore came to our office and had a meeting, and we cooperated and removed that. We demolished the property. We have multiple properties in North Baton Rouge, and I do take pride in the properties that we own and rent to other families. I think if you were to call anyone over at the housing office, Janie Anderson, any of the inspectors, they would tell you that we maintain our homes. They have recommended our company as a landlord for their family members and their relatives. And so I take a huge point of pride in that, because they do see a lot of properties in East Baton Rouge Parish in the jobs that they are in. I think in this project particularly, if you were to see the property that we have that DeLuca has rolled in out in Prairieville and the look of it, there are some pictures in here. The pictures of the exterior, those are pictures of that property in Prairieville, the way that he has it set up. The skirting is like a nice picket wood fence. It's very well maintained and cut, and I think that it would be something that somebody would be proud to have in their area.
I'm sure you sent it. I don't have it in front of me. Maybe it's in my email, and I'll try to get that from my legislative assistant. If not, I'll get it from you. But I would like to see that property. And basically, what you're telling me is that you're the difference. Your husband was involved before. You're involved now. So
he was involved as an investor, and there was someone else that was managing the property.
Okay. So you guys will be managing it this time.
Well, DeLuca Properties will be managing
Okay.
it, and that's
Gotcha.
Michael DeLuca and Garrett Shaw,
Gotcha.
and they are the
All right.
ones that are managing this property out in Prairieville.
All right. Thank you.
Do you want me to
I'll get it from you afterwards.
Any other
Councilwoman
questions?
Darazan.
Hello, everyone. I'm the new kid on the block, but it's my understanding that Councilman Cole met with some of the partners. He also expressed some of the same concerns that we've heard voiced here today. He was satisfied with most of the safeguards that were put in place, and he signed off on it. We would continue to monitor it for sure, to make sure that all these safeguards are executed, to make sure we have a high standard there and that we don't fall in the same category of some other properties that we're watching in that area very close. I just wanted to make mention of that this was looked into by the previous council person, and he had worked intimately with these partners.
Thank you for that insight.
Councilman Moak?
Thank you. So yeah, I just have to say I do have some concerns about it. I know we've looked at several of these issues. Councilman Dunn brought up a good point, and I don't know you, I don't know your husband, but I'm looking at, I just went to Google Maps, and I see where the slab is from where y'all tore down the house. If you keep kind of scrolling in different areas, Google Maps has different pictures in time and so on and so forth. As I move down the street and everything, I see a picture where the house is there. And then it kind of shows the mobile home park and the different conditions and everything else. And then if you move back to a different area, that you see where the house was and the slab is there. I'm just saying, if you know Google Maps, as you go to different areas on the street, as you move down the street, you might get different points in time of what you see on Google Maps when you do a street view. So what I'm seeing kind of some before and afters. And it is a concern that what I see in the previous pictures from the past and the condition of the area and so on and so forth, I have to agree with my colleagues that, when we're trying to rebuild areas and do things, it's great that there may be housing available and everything else, but where it's going or where it may go, Councilman Dunn brought up a good point, and again, I don't know you, I don't know your husband or whatever, but y'all have had previous involvement with what was there before, obviously.
I have not, but he did.
He
Yes,
did. Okay.
correct.
It's a big concern of redoing that area. My question is, and you brought up Prairieville versus this one, and I'm totally sure Prairieville is probably a beautiful park. Just like you can go up into Zachary and some other areas, and they have some beautiful parks, all concrete roads, all concrete pads. The front's taken off, the requirements where the front connector point has to be taken off, the wheels have to be taken off, it's skirted all the way around and everything. But it's two different areas. It's two completely different areas. That Belmont area where they've tore down the Belmont Hotel and all that, and some of the decline in that area, I hate to see. First of all, I'd like to see that area redone because I thought it was a beautiful area. I hear stories about it and drive through it and all. I think this would be very. I just think where that area and where we're trying to go to the area, I don't like the idea of going back in with this. With that being said, what I'm seeing on the maps right now is if I look down, it's got some, you said all the trailers, all the mobile homes were removed?
Yes, in 2016.
Okay, so it's just empty lot right now.
Correct.
All right, so one of the things I see in the past is I'm looking down the street that's going in, it's got the Riverview sign in the front. That's what I'm seeing at the mobile home park, but
Well, there's a mobile home park right next to it.
Okay.
I'm not sure the name of that one. This one is not called, this one was called Victoria Farms. It wasn't called Riverview.
okay.
There is an operating mobile home park next door to the property currently.
So what do you have in that? What are you putting in that area in the regrowth of this or the input of mobile homes and all? What are you doing? What I'm seeing on this photo is they got one street light all the way in the back. Is there, maybe I'm not seeing the right mobile home park. Is there street lights down there? Is there security? Is there any kind of deterrent as far as prevention of crime, keeping the area up or anything like that? Is there anything that y'all are doing above and beyond to make the area feel more secure, more open, and so on and so forth?
Okay, so when it was operated as a mobile home park in the past, those mobile homes were individually owned by the tenants who lived, by the people who lived in them. In this instance, DeLuca Properties will own all of the mobile homes and they will maintain the property as a whole. I cannot speak currently as to the condition of the lighting or the plumbing. There's been a lot of vandalism on the property and a lot of homeless people trying to get into these types of things. So all of that's going to have to be reevaluated once we get moving once we have approval to be able to move in that direction.
Okay. And again, and I know it's been said, y'all have invested a lot and everything. I would like to see before approving it, I'd like to see some of those ideas or things that I guess, let me
You want to ask Tom?
Mr. Ryan. Yes, please.
Yeah, if I may, I want to add, there is an additional step that's required. What is being considered today is ultimately the first step is to rezone the property. The previous mobile home park that was on this property that became blighted and did have problems in the past regarding crime in the blight office was what's referred to as a legal nonconforming use. It was essentially grandfathered in under the existing zoning, not the proper zoning, but allowed to continue. If it's discontinued for a period of 2 years, then it's not allowed to be reestablished. Add on top of that, the flood and COVID that happened, there were some extensions between the parish attorney's office and the state that were granted, but still, it sat vacant for a period of time beyond that. So they're having to come here, ask for a rezoning. If this rezoning was granted tonight, the applicant would be required to come back before the planning commission for a site plan approval for a mobile home park. There's additional details of the infrastructure, lighting, landscape buffers, fence. Those additional details, the applicant would have to provide those to the planning commission, and that would have to be vetted and voted on before that body at a later date. I don't know if that addresses all your concerns,
but voted on by the planning commission. But again, I'm just concerned that we may be going back. We have a history of it there. I'm concerned that we may be going back. I appreciate the fact that you're trying to either bring housing into the area or whatever, but I would like to see or talk to you. We can sit down with the councilwoman. I would like to know these plans as far as security and other things like that before approving this rezoning. Because once we do the rezoning, we've opened up that can of worms. There's no going back. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, do we have a motion?
I would like to speak,
Oh.
please.
Okay.
I live right around the corner from this area. I live not far from it, so I pass this area all the time. And that area where the flooding came, it was cleaned out. But there are, as you stated, and I know I have a picture and in my mind, because I go to High Neighbor, that's over by High Neighbor, often. So I have a recent picture regardless of Google. And that property was cleaned. But there are other mobile homes right next door. Most often, you don't see the people hanging out in front of the mobile homes. They are across the street at that Exxon. And I don't know these people either. I'm trying to get to know a lot of people I don't know. So I'm pretty neutral here. And so I know the activity because I pass there all the time en route to my house from Airline Highway. Take that little cutoff there by the Exxon. And what has happened, you have more activity at that Exxon than at these mobile home parks because people congregate there. There are dumpsters there. There are homeless people there who are not a part of the Exxon. If you call the police all day because if the owner of the Exxon does not call for the security or for police to get these people off of their property, that's the owners of the Exxon. But over across at these two parks, just in my neighborhood vision, not as a council person, just living there, there's not a lot of activity on that side of the street. Where our problem is on the other side of the street where Exxon is. And at first, some people had the wrong address in front of Mount Island. This is not where we're talking. We're talking on the other side of High Neighbor going toward Airline and the little cutoff from there. So what you are saying and what your concerns are valid. They are my concerns as well, just as a resident in that area. But most of our problem is across the street at that Exxon, where we have the homeless people. We have some people with some problems. Sometimes you can't go to the Exxon for gas because you're afraid to go over there because of the people who are hanging out there. But on the side of the street where the other homes are and where the other mobile homes are, and at the other mobile homes, these are people who own these homes individually. And that's their individual responsibility to keep up their property, and whoever the property owner is should enforce some of that upkeep. But Councilman Cole met with these people before and voiced some of these concerns, same concerns that you voiced here today. But these partners own these places, and they're going to keep up these individual homes, from my understanding. It's my understanding they will be responsible for keeping up these different units, I would say in layman terms, if you will, and forgive me at the same time. So that was just my input, just as a resident, first of all, and as a councilwoman, second, I would imagine. Thank you for listening.
Do we have a motion?
I have a motion.
All right. We have a motion by Councilwoman Darazan, second by Councilman Hudson. Any opposition? Sure.
When I see you all do that, did I turn it off?
Motion carries. Please go ahead, Councilwoman Darazan. You have something you want to say?
She just wanted to push her microphone.
Oh, you wanted to push it away. You do that when you're mad, not when your motion carries.
When I see y'all do.
I love it.
Hey, that's also because the mics are hot and they gonna hear everything you say, Doug.
I know, I turned it when I see it.
That's Daryl does it because it's directly in his face.
That is Councilwoman, that is a protective measure to make sure the public does not hear what you're saying if it's hot. Okay, just put it out there.
And I will say, I'll take a point of privilege and let you know, in that seat, you do have to be cognizant of turning Councilwoman Banks' mic on and off all the time, because she will not do that. Moving on, item number 5, case 3424, 4323 Airline Highway to rezone property from heavy commercial C2 to commercial alcoholic beverage bar and lounge, CAB2, located on the north side of Airline Highway, west of Beechwood Drive, Council District 5, Hearst. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Councilman Hurst, second by Councilwoman Rocca. Any opposition? Seeing none, motion carries.
Hey, I want to take a personal point of privilege to tell him thank you. Anytime we have investment in North Baton Rouge, his business will survive anywhere. He is a great eatery, has built a brand, and now is expanding that brand. So I want to thank you for being invested in North Baton Rouge, man. I look forward to see your business succeed.
Yeah, and come back next week. We'll have a certificate for you.
Item 6, case 3524, 4510 North Boulevard to rezone property from light commercial C1 to commercial alcoholic beverage restaurant, CAB1, located on the south side of North Boulevard, west of North Foster Drive, Council District 7, Darazan. Do we have anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Motion to approve by Councilwoman Darazan, second by Councilman Dunn Jr. Any opposition? Seeing none, motion carries. Councilwoman Amorosa.
Point of order.
It's his birthday today.
Thank you.
Yes.